Carla Knits. In today's video, I will be sharing a recap of projects made in the month of March. How am I doing with my year-long Make 9 boards? And how am I doing using up my stash? Am I continuing to use my stash? Have I purchased yarn? Stay tuned because we're going to get into that. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is Thursday, April 4th, and I have some time this afternoon, so I'm excited to be sharing this recap with you. I don't want the month of April to get too far away from me before I record what I did in March. So I decided I'm going to do it this afternoon. So if you have been with me for a while, at least since the beginning of this year, you probably know that a couple things. First, I have 3 Make 9 boards. So the Make 9 board is a make-along hosted by Amy of Noble Character Crafts, and she has done this for several years now, and I have participated in the past, but I am very actively participating this year. And so the idea is to create a grid of 9 projects that you would like to make in the year 2024, post it to Instagram with the hashtag Make92024Mal, and then post pictures of yourself or of your projects in progress, of projects that are finished, and throughout the year she periodically draws prizes for those. So I decided, I think the first thing that I decided was that I needed to slow down the intake of yarn, or the yarns coming into my stash. You see yarn behind me here. This shelf is, let's see, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 tall by 5 across. What you may not realize is that I have yarn below me. This is actually a TV cabinet that my son Aaron made in woodshop when he was in high school. And so there are drawers filled. This side only has knitting, well, I shouldn't say only, but it has knitting books and knitting patterns. But this drawer under here has a big container full of yarn. And then mostly those are sweater quantities of yarn, mostly in there. And then over here, and sometime maybe I should show you the yarn room, although it's not the neatest right now. But there are 2 dressers in here, and one dresser has just a little bit of yarn in it, but then to the right side of it, it has a tote filled with like acrylic yarns. So not too much acrylic yarn, but some acrylic yarn. And then like kind of kitty corner from me right now is another dresser, and every dresser drawer is full of yarn. That is scrap yarn only. So that is that is 5 drawers full of leftover yarn. So I have a lot of yarn, and I cannot knit or crochet fast enough, you know, and to go through it. I don't, it's not like I want it gone, but I guess I decided I wanted to be more intentional in my using of yarn, and realizing that if I keep buying, I'm not going to use what I already have. And I've got many beautiful yarns already that I should show some love to. One of my favorite things to buy is sock yarn, as you can see from my shelf. And, you know, it is not a quick process. I know for some people it may be, but to me, it is not a quick process to knit up a pair of socks. It simply takes time. So maybe if all I did was knit socks, then that would be okay. But there's lots of projects that I want to do, but I have lots of single skeins of sock yarn. So I had to slow myself down this year. So my goal is to have a low buy year for yarn. So I didn't want to say completely no buy, but if I should, you know, find myself on vacation or on a yarn trip with friends, then I did not want to restrict myself. So, so that was kind of, you know, that idea. And then because I have all this yarn, I thought, well, why don't I go through and pair up some of the yarns I have with projects? You know, some were yarns that I bought with the intention of making a certain project. So let's be intentional about that and put that on your Make 9 board this year. And so, you know, I paired up yarns with, or paired up projects with yarns that I have in my stash. So I have 3 Make 9 boards. I have a Make 9 new projects board, so for 9 new projects that I would like to make this year, a Make 9 sock board because I am a sock knitter, and then my Make 9 whip board. So whip is a work in progress, and some of those whips that are on have been lingering for quite a while. So with the whip board, some of those are bigger long-term projects, so not necessarily will I finish all of them, but if I, you know, maybe finish some of them or at least put some really good progress into them, I consider that a win. So I have updated each month with how I have done, excuse me, with projects that I have made and if I have bought yarn or not. So from the month of March, these are the projects that I made, and most of them I will put a picture of here. But the first, I made 3 dishcloths in the month of March. So I should say I'm also on a journey to make dishcloths this year using up some cotton yarn. I have many cotton yarn scraps, and so I would like to make some dishcloths to use some of that up. So I made 3 dishcloths in the month of March, and they were the same, the corner to corner moss stitch dishcloth, and that happens to be my favorite at the moment. So 3 dishcloths. Then I made the rustic cable stitch table runner, which I will pop in here. So that I loved that finish, and the rustic cable stitch table runner was a project from my Make 9 new projects board. I made 2 pairs of socks. One was the Indulgence socks. They were a suri and fingering weight held together. And that pair of socks was on my Make 9 sock board. And I really love how those turned out. The other pair of socks I just shared in the latest podcast, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom socks. So they were not on my Make 9 sock board, but they it was for a knit along hosted by my friend Darcy, who is hosting a Knitlit Mal, and I've linked her YouTube channel down below. I should say everything that I talk about is down below. So you can check her channel out if you would like more information. So 2 pairs of socks, and then I did 2 Easter themed projects, so it was fun. And again, these were not on my Make 9 boards, but it was fun to do them. I made the bunny coaster, so the seamless bunny coaster, and that was crochet, and that used up some scraps of cotton yarn, and I think it just had the cutest little tail on it. And then I finished the purple bunny that's supposed to look like a marshmallow bunny peep. So I enjoyed doing that. I'm keeping track in my little journal or my little notebook here. Let's see, so dishcloths, Yes, I made 3 baskets. So maybe you can see one here. So that one was completed last year, but I made 3 additional baskets in the month of March. And that was a whip that I didn't really have. I didn't have on my whip board. It was just something, a kit that I knew I had, that I had used part of the yarn for, and I wanted to continue so I can make some baskets to gift. Yeah, so the 3 gather baskets. And then the biggest thing that I spent my time on in March is my Cozy Memories blanket. And this is a blanket that is on my Make 9 whip board. I believe I started this blanket in 2016 or 2017. It was a long time ago. I know when it was really popular, when it came out, I was very, very excited about it. So I know it was started sometime back then. So I'm just going to hold this up because I don't have a really good, a really good picture of it right now. And it's still in progress. But in the month of March, I added 42 squares to the Cozy Memories blanket. So that feels really, really amazing. I just realized when I pulled my blanket out and I laid it out on the floor and saw, how big it was and how big I wanted it to be, that, just adding a couple squares every year or every other year wasn't going to cut it. This blanket was never going to get done. Last year, I don't know if I picked it up, maybe a little bit maybe I did in January or February, but I think the most I've ever added like in a year was maybe 12 to 14 squares, which is good, but not for a whole year. And if you only add that much, the blanket's not going to get very big. So 42 squares added. I have, let's see, as of today, let me see, 42. I think I have 38 more squares to go to get to the length that I want. The width is where I want the blanket, but I need 38 more squares. So my goal is to finish knitting the squares on this blanket this month of April. And I did some calculations, and with that many squares left to go, I need to knit 1.4 squares every single day in the month of April. I did say in the podcast that I can get about 2 squares a night if that is what I am knitting on, and maybe more on the weekend. So if I keep up that goal, I will finish the squares. The blanket will not be in its complete stage then, because I really would like to put an I-cord border on it. And now I wrestled with, do I buy some fingering weight yarn to make that I-cord border, or I have some fingering weight yarn in my stash. I do have 3 skeins of one color that I have decided, I thought at one point I might use to make a fingering weight sweater, possibly a love note, or maybe another Kaisa tee or a short sleeve tee, but I don't think I'm going to use that yarn for that. So I'm still thinking about it. It's kind of a peachy goldy color with speckles in it. So it's not quite the most neutral, but it would not be buying more yarn. It would be using what I have. And so I do like that idea. So the goal is to finish the squares this month, and maybe May's goal then will be to put that I-cord border on. I have no idea how long it will take. I have no idea, but I will find out. So those are the projects that I made for the month of March. As far as yarn goes, I used from my stash, and I don't know how well you can see this, but I used 4 skeins, and this is really lightly colored because it was for the Rustic cable stitch table runner. So 4 skeins of a natural color yarn. Then these 2 colors here represent my Indulgence socks. So there were 2 yarns that went into create those 2 fingering weight yarns, 1 suri, 1 fingering weight. So those 2 yarns. The green color here is for the yarn that was used up from the green basket. This cream colored with gold is what I used up, the skein that I used for the smaller baskets, the gather baskets. And then, can you guess, that fun rainbow stripe is for the Chicka Chicka Boom Boom socks that I made. So in the month of March, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 skeins out of my stash. So that's good. I'm really excited. Did I buy yarn? Let's see. No, I did not buy yarn this month. So I have not purchased yarn at all in the year of 2024. And I do find that kind of hard to believe because in the past, I probably was purchasing yarn of some kind at least every other week, maybe. Yeah, I was bringing a lot of yarn into my stash. So this feels really good. You know, still with a rate of 9 skeins out, it's going to take a while to reduce my yarn stash, but I am definitely enjoying the journey. Some of you may wonder, you know, is Carla okay? Is she really okay not buying yarn? For the most part, yes. I definitely, when I come in here, I definitely have more peace because I have not brought more yarn in, and I am, you know, working on things that are really bringing me joy. I am using some yarns that have been in my stash, and that really makes me happy. But do I still look at yarn? Yes. I did unsubscribe from most yarn store emails and newsletters, both commercial and indie dyed. I still see the Knit Picks one, and I get the Knit Picks, you know, catalog or, you know, flyer that they send every so often, and that just came, and of course, oh, that's tempting. So, am I still tempted? Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, advent calendars have been popping up on Instagram. So I know that this is the time of year to purchase, you know, a lot of the advent calendars, you know, you need to purchase now. So those yarn dyers know, you know, how many they have to prepare for and to get preparing them. Have I purchased an advent calendar? I have not. I don't know that I am going to this year, and this would be the first time in several years that I have not purchased one, maybe 5 or 6 years. I had the Suburban Stitcher advent calendar from last year, and I have not used it. And so I think, you know, if I want to make a special advent project, maybe I will use that. But just having that whole kit makes me think, no, maybe you really shouldn't buy, you know, an advent calendar. And because I've had so many minis to put, or minis or leftover fingering weight yarns to put into my yarn blanket, I also could create my own advent calendar of sorts if I wanted to. Talking about advent calendars, I am planning on hosting the 12 mini skeins of Christmas mini skein swap again. I believe this will be year 4, 4, I think. So you know, that is a fun advent swap, and you get some mini skeins, but you are using from your stash. So I am still planning to host that. You know, details will come in the summertime about that. So I am not immune to all of the beautiful yarns out there. Yes, I still struggle. I still see them on Instagram. but I feel like I feel like I'm doing pretty good, and I'm gonna stick with it. I have not gone yarn shopping. Well, that's not true. I did go into Joann Fabric, or Joann's, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, just to look around, which is dangerous. Why would you do that when you know there's yarn there? And I was really tempted by one of the yarns I saw that was a Lion Brand one that looked like it was a self-patterning worsted weight yarn, that kind of a Fair Isle pattern yarn, and it was discounted on sale. I thought, ooh, I should get a skein or maybe a couple skeins to make hats. And I'm like, no, you have yarn at home to make hats, so don't do it right now. So I talked myself down. So I was pretty proud about that. So I've been going on for a while now, but I'm just going to post my whip board, or my Make 9 boards here, just so you can see where I am at for the year's totals, what I have completed so far. So from my Make 9 whip board, I have 4 finishes. And then I am actively working on my Cozy Memories blanket from that whip board. From my new projects board, I have 4 finishes. And from my Make 9 sock board, I have 3 finished pairs of socks. So am I going to finish all of these things? I don't know. Like I said, you know, all of the things on my board, I don't know. The whip board, I am very hopeful to get the Cozy Memories blanket done. I am very hopeful to get the Afghan that Jeff's grandma started. I want to complete that for Jeff for Christmas. I would like to complete that. But there are 2 other blanket projects on there. I don't know if there's anything else. I can't remember. But there's a crochet granny square blanket that, you know, I am making with Advent Minis, from the Advent Mini swap. And so that's going to take a while to make enough granny squares to make a blanket. And then there's also another Advent blanket of knitted squares on there. And that one has a long way to go too. So if in the month of December I can make some more crochet granny squares, that would be great. The individual knitted squares for that blanket, I think at this point I'm planning to knit on those this summer, because you know, you can just knit a square. So a very small portable project, which I think is going to be good to do in the summertime. So that is kind of what I'm thinking with that, is that I will work on those knitted squares in the summertime. For my new projects board, oh, I know there was one more for my whip board, the poncho, the cable poncho. I am planning to work on that in the fall, as I anticipate the weather starting to turn colder at that time. I still could work on it now because it has been cold, but I think if I pick it up in September, yeah, even though it will still be warm, if I pick it up in September, that's going to be a good time to get me excited about, you know, using it when winter actually gets here. From my new projects board, I don't have a timeline or plan for, you know, all of those projects. I am currently working on the Sand Dune projects bag, so that is one of the projects on there. There are 2, I would say, more Christmassy, wintry themed. I have the stocking on there, and I have what else is on there? Oh, another pair of mittens. So I thought that could be fun for like Christmas in July knitting. And I think at this point I am going to host that make along. I have done that for a couple of years. So Christmas in July, you know, making Christmas gifts or making, you know, things related to Christmas or winter. So I think that would be a fun time of year to do that. Socks, I'm a little maybe behind in my mind on the sock board, but I do have like 2 worsted weight socks on there, cable socks, and I think again that could be fun for fall. and then another pair of suri socks. Again, that could be fun for fall. But I'm also thinking with summer sock camp, if Kay is still hosting it, I don't know, but sock knitting is really great in the summertime. And so I think some of those projects on the sock board will get some attention in the summer. So that's kind of where I'm at with my Make 9 boards. Thank you so much for listening. I feel like this was really, really rambly, but it feels good to kind of recap March, maybe recap, the first quarter of the year. I thank you all so much for watching the podcast, for encouraging me. You guys have been so kind, with your encouragement of my, my making projects and sticking with my Make 9 or sticking with my, no buy, low buy. So I really appreciate that. And if there's a way I can encourage you in your knitting or crocheting journey, please let me know. I think it is great that we can cheer each other on in this great hobby that we have. So if you are doing a Make 9 board this year, or if you are, intentionally using your stash, or if you're buying yarn, let me know. I would love to hear about it. I love to hear about it all. So with that, I am going to say goodbye for now, and we'll catch up again in the next podcast, and we will see also next month how the month of April went with all of my making and using of yarn. So thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Take care. See you really soon.